And we're live.
Hello, my name is Joan Savage, and I am a chalk pastel artist. I have been selling my work since 1981, but actually was doing pastels back then. I was doing watercolor and oils. Since that time, I found my way with chalk pastel. So what I'm doing today is a demonstration of a chalk pastel from a photo of Greenwich Beach, actually. And I have brought some pieces that we may be able to see later, but I'm going to be going through the entire painting. Plus, I'm going to show you how to mat it and frame it, hopefully, in the 3 hours that we have together. So I'm just going to go ahead and start. Um, I'll let you know that the paper that I use is called Sennelier pastel paper, and it's actually made in France, and it's sanded, but it's not your regular sandpaper. It's the sandpaper that's made from, it's actually made from pork, so that you won't destroy your fingers when you're using the sandpaper. So there's the sandpaper, which I've set up like this. Excuse me. This is a 9.5 by 6.25 piece of paper, which will then fit in the mat that I have constructed beforehand. And my chalks are Sennelier soft chalks, and I have a mixture of harder chalks. Rembrandt is actually my favorite. So this is a Rembrandt stick, which you can purchase them individually. They're not that easy to find on Prince Edward Island just individually. You often have to buy like a whole kit. But I keep them in rice, and when the rice gets really dark, then you know that it's time to change up the rice and maybe wash it off and cook it for supper. Just joking. And what it does, some people think it keeps the moisture away, but it's not about moisture. It's about the chalks rubbing against each other and turning black, so that you would then never know what color you have in your little setup here. If you can keep them happily in a box like this with the little spongy setup, then that's probably the best way to keep them. But when you've got a whole lot of different ones and you just want to see them quickly, that's why we use the chalk. So I'm just going to go ahead and start. This, I've kind of sketched out a scene just with my white to let me know where my placement is. And I normally work from top to bottom or background to the foreground. And since I'm right-handed, I will start at the top and go this way. If I was left-handed, I would start at the top and go this way. So, start out with the sky. And I'm just applying the first level of chalk. I don't tend to put them on real heavy from the start. And that allows me to make decisions. I'm painting with my fingers, which really become my paintbrush, if you will. since I prefer not to use anything. I do have some blending sticks, of which you can purchase. They come in different sizes, but I find, except for teeny tiny little corners, where you have a need to get in there with a sharp point, I tend not to use them so much because I find they take more chalk off the paper than leaving behind. The nice thing about the nice thing about working with your fingers and blending is that you can add more levels and you can blend. And even though a lot of people think that you can't get a whole lot of specificity with your work with chalk, I find that you actually can with this paper because you get to add layers. One thing that I stress with people when I'm doing a class is you have to be careful because there is a buildup of chalk, and you can blow it off or you can tap it off. However, you have to be careful if you're blowing it that you don't spit on the paper. And my ladies that come to a chalk pastel class every Monday, we know this because every once in a while, and I've done this myself, you get a little spit mark on your paper. It's not bad if it's just tiny, but if it's a larger one, that creates a problem because it takes the tooth off the paper. And when you take the tooth off the paper, it's right down to the plain, nothing on it piece of paper. And if you try to paint on something that has no tooth, like this piece, you're going to find that it's not going to grip the chalk. So then you're into a dilemma. You've either ruined the piece, hopefully not, or you can try to repair it by painting it with a bit of watercolor paint and just put a little dab in it and let it dry, of course. If it's something that you think you don't have to go to that extreme of repair, you can just use a hairdryer and dry the little spot. But if it's really deep, you're in deep trouble, so to speak. Okay, so I want to add a little more. And I do have some people with me that are here today to watch the actual live stream video. And I'm going to invite them to ask questions as they see fit as we go along, which will only add to all the information that I have for the viewers online. So ladies, if you want to ask anything, please feel free. I'm going to choose a darker color at the top, darker color blue, more of a cobalt blue, and just give some skips of it. Oh my gosh, I feel like John Nagy or Bob Ross. No, not that I'm comparing myself to the greats at all, but just when I was a kid, I used to get up Saturday morning and John Nagy, for you older people, you may remember John Nagy. He was a wonderful, wonderful artist, just like the Bob Ross that we know and love. And that was my big introduction to how much I loved art and I would sneak out of bed early. You know, the parents always slept in Saturday morning. So I would come and turn on the TV and watch John Nagy. He was a wonderful artist. He was my first inspiration. Okay, so we're trying to make it interesting kind of background. Oh, and if you want to change colors, I have a dampened sponge here, and you just wipe off your fingers if you're moving to a completely different color, and dry them off so that you don't wet your chalk. You don't want any water. Notice I do have a drinking vessel here, but it's not anywhere on the table because I don't want to inadvertently spill anything on it. So the other thing is too, you have to watch for what color you're choosing. You know, you don't want your clouds so much to be beige, you want them to be white. And sometimes you pick up the wrong color. So I'm applying some fluffy clouds at the top. I think they're called cumulonimbus or something like that. I don't want Jay to be correcting me on the news and telling me they're something else. That's the only one I can remember. Okay, we'll put some nice fluffy clouds in here. Blend them in. And especially with chalk, the blending allows you to get that really fluffy look. I find it easier with chalks. And sometimes you see a scene when you're driving around and you think, oh, that's a chalk pastel scene for sure. And I'll take a picture. I mostly work from pictures because it's very difficult to work outside with chalk pastel in case, you know, there's a little drop of rain or something, or even a bird. A bird might go by and you don't want to get into that. So put some over here. And you know, you can take artistic license, as many do. They use the picture for their inspiration. They don't so much want to repeat the picture because, after all, it was originally a photograph. You can do things from your memory, of course, and that's wonderful too. Now I notice in the picture here there's some quite dark bits. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to mention is that I save tiny shards in rice, of course, but when you wear down your chalk to this, from this, you end up with little pieces like this. So these are the types of things that I would save for future use when I need something that's a little bit more pointed. And I don't actually have one of the color that I'm looking for. So we'll just put some darker bits in under here. Through the clouds, because there seem to be some of those in the painting, which would be a nice dimension, would add something to it. Now the other thing is, you can use a little bit of a gray tone. Clouds often have the bottom of the clouds is kind of a grayish, darker edge to it. So you can put some of that in there and then see how it goes. If you don't like it, you can always take it out. But I think it's going well in this case. And a lot of it is just you get a feel for it and you go with the flow, so to speak. And if you really want to use a starker white, then your Sennelier chalks, which are very, very, very soft, you don't need to add too much. And you will get a much brighter white, if that's what you prefer. Just depends on the look you're going for. Any thoughts, ladies?
It is really fun to watch you, Joan. Mostly you're watching us, but it's wonderful to watch you.
I was thinking that this morning. The ladies that are attending here, Ellen and Laura, are in the class that comes to my house on Mondays, and I am advising them and giving them pointers as they have come along with their artwork, and they are doing amazing artwork, I have to say. It's lovely to watch them paint. There.
Oh, that's looking great. Oh my goodness, that's
Not a bad
great.
sky.
Looking great.
And as you go, you might look and you might see something. You might inadvertently put a face in your clouds that you don't really want there. It could be kind of an ogre, and you want to try and control for that kind of thing.
Did you take this picture yourself up at St. Peter's, Joan?
Yes, it's one. I've had many photos from Greenwich area, and I have done many paintings from the Greenwich area, which I absolutely love it there.
It's beautiful.
Okay, now I want to put in some of this color, which is in here. So I just kind of as I say, sketching it in or scritching it in according to the noise the chalk makes. And we'll see. See how it goes here. There's green at the top because we've got some grass on the top of the dunes. And you can actually pick your palette out first if you wish. I didn't do that. So I'm kind of going to change colors a bit here. So I'll change up. It's a brighter green. It's kind of bright. Let's see how this one goes. I don't know. I don't like that one. It's more of a neutral. It's just a hint of it too. I'm going to wait till I make my decision on it. It's best to build the dune from underneath to the outside. If you're painting flowers, you paint the flower as it grows. I remember my good friend Joan Savage, who was a lovely artist, passed away too early. She always said, paint it as if it's growing from inside to the petals outside. And I tell you, that little piece of information works actually quite dramatically. She was a wonderful artist. I miss her very much. Okay, now for a proper green. I may have to blend because I'm not sure. This isn't it. Maybe it's this one. Yes, this one will do. Yeah, that looks good. Quite flat though. So in here there are lots of darker bits. So we need a darker green to give a bit of emphasis to that.
Or look at the way she leaves them tipped up in the tree when she's using some. I haven't seen that trick before. Very clever. Yeah, she mentioned that to me. I can't hear that. I'm just noticing that you're leaving the ones you've chosen and used tipped up. So that if you want more of them, you know what you've used.
Yeah, I was going to mention that because I don't want to pick them out of the box and leave them over here because then they'll get all mixed up with my other stuff.
Right.
So I do tend to do that. And that way I've got my palette set. Now, the other thing is there's brown in here, right? So we're starting to get some dimension in it. But there's a bit of brown. I've got lots of browns. And we'll darken up some of these. Especially up at the top. Because the sand could be darker there, the sand underneath. A little speck over here. And okay, up here as well. It could be darker. You have to be careful when you pick up the colors because some of the browns look like purple. I did a whole thing with brown and I looked the next day and it was purple. So you have to watch out for that. This is a bit of a cliff over here. So we're going to do some darker bits. And then it's quite a bit, the sand is quite noticeable down here.
I hadn't realized, Joan, that you do quite a bit of detail early. Most of the paper is still blank, but you're really capturing some of the details there. Oh, that looks nice.
Yeah, it's because I'm building it
From top to bottom.
from top to bottom.
Yeah.
I will go back and do touch-up things when I notice things that aren't, that need some kind of an adjustment. But I find too, like, some people think that chalk is messy. I never feel like it's messy. I feel like you don't have to use water. It's easy to take with you when you're going to paint with your art groups. I really enjoy using chalk. It's my favorite. I feel like I have more control over it than when I'm using a brush. This is for me personally. I want to do it with my hands. The brush is too far away. Even though people who paint in acrylics and oils do beautiful, beautiful work, I feel like I'm just too far away from the work. I prefer to be right in there. I'm going to change my color up here a little bit because it's a warmer tone down here. A little bit warmer. A little more orangey in it. I don't want to make it too orange. but the orange is giving you the hint of the island soil color, that even though it's more bleached out down in Greenwich as it is somewhat in Cavendish, it's not as dark as some of the other beaches. Okay, so that's a little on the orange side, but we'll see about that. Now, the next thing we want is the island color. That's not dark enough. This one. And I'm not telling you to paint this way. This is what works for me. This is just how I do it. You could take a class from someone else and they would have a different technique. I think the most important thing is the end result, which I see all the time with the ladies in my class. They are all doing their own thing, which is really what it's all about. I appreciate so much that everybody that's in the Summerside Art Club and the Kensington Art Co-op group, they all have different and unique end results. And I think it's fascinating to see. That's the creative part of everybody's work coming out. It's really coming out in their own way.
It's a raucous group down there.
Sounds like somebody's having fun down there. Okay. Keep going with this one along here. So as you get closer to the water, because the water laps up onto the shore, you're going to get a darker, you're going to get the wet look, I guess you could say. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I'm going to move over and do the water so that I'm still going this way. And I like to use more of an ultramarine color to the water, which is different than the base of the cobalt blue, which I used at the top. Sometimes you'll get a piece of chalk that has, I call it a grumpy piece. It has like a bit in it that doesn't want to give up the color. It's hard, so you just kind of have to work around it. And the water at the back, as you can see in the picture, is darker. So way out to sea, because it's deeper, it's darker. getting in closer, it starts to get lighter. And of course, when it comes up onto the shore, it's definitely reflecting more of the sky. Sometimes there's also a kind of a coating on the outside of the chalk, just from when they manufacture it. So you have to kind of work through that and get it off of there. That's why I usually have a piece of paper like this. It's a scrap piece of the sanded paper so that I can smooth that bit off. I'm going to go light, and then I'm going to add my dark on top of that because there's more light here. Even though I started with the dark at the back. There's a few little white caps there too, so we'll look after them eventually. And I don't really call myself ambidextrous, but I find both my dad and I were always doing some things kind of backwards to right-handed people. So we have some of that. And sometimes I find it's just easier to get at it with my left hand. But I couldn't sign my name. I certainly couldn't sign my name properly with my left hand. Okay, so we're getting a nice water cover. Which I can then kind of fill in. You don't have to go, I prefer not to go heavy on the first go round. I can always add. And then you don't end up, if you put too much chalk on the paper, it fills in all the sanded spaces, and then you can't add any detail at the end if you get too much. And you also can get to a point where you've added so much that you can't do anything about it. Absolutely nothing. It will not accept any more chalk, and then you're in trouble if you haven't finished doing what you wanted to do. What are you ladies thinking?
Oh, it's great watching you. Mhm.
Joan, do you always blend, like use your fingers to smooth over any chalk that you apply?
Pretty much, yeah. I might leave some, if the effect is, in terms of the clouds, it's heavier here. And if that effect lends to the scene, looking more real or gives it a good effect, then I'll leave it. But I mostly blend, yeah. I mostly blend things.
When you're thinking about composition, is there something about this image when you took the photograph that you knew was going to lend itself to a good composition?
Okay, is it a good composition, and how did I feel about that initially when I saw it?
Yeah.
I have a lot of photos that I've taken and ones that other people have sent me, actually. And I have to have a good feeling about it. And if I don't, this is the problem with, I take commissions and do paintings for people, but I have to go there and take the picture myself. It's happened in the past that I did paintings for people who wanted, this or that, and it just wasn't. I didn't have the right feeling for it.
You're slugging through it because you said you would, but
Absolutely.
it doesn't really move you.
Slugging through it is a good way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a very unhappy experience. So I like to go and take the picture myself, and with their agreement, of course. They have to be happy about it too, no question. But we usually can come up with something that we're both satisfied with in the picture. Yeah. But I think that's what comes through is how I feel about it. And I didn't realize people were saying your paintings have a calming and soothing effect for the most part. And I didn't know that I was doing that. I had no idea.
But this particular area up at Greenwich is one that really speaks to you, and you return to it again and again.
Yes, and I had good friends there. Both of them in the past year have passed on, but I spent lots of time down there visiting and just on the beach on a windy day, taking multitudes of pictures. Just now, here's my purple. I'm gonna get my purple in there. Yeah, I have to have a good feeling, no question. And sometimes, you know, you're just painting along and you don't really know what direction it's going to go in, and it turns out pretty fine, which sometimes surprises me. Well, often surprises me.
How often are you referring back to the photograph, and is there a point at which you're more focusing in on the image you're creating than on the photograph?
I think I'm always checking back, but then it just, when it gets to that point where it feels like it's mine, I guess, then I'm perfecting what I have laid down. So I'm eyeballing it, but it kind of takes on its own thing.
That's the sense I'm getting watching you, and that's why I asked that question.
Yeah.
It's the artistic license thing that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I think it goes with the whole feeling, you know? How does it feel?
So you're not just trying to duplicate the photograph, you're trying to express your feeling about this particular place. Is that right?
I don't, that's not a conscious thing though, with me. I guess you just kind of disappear into it, sort of, which I'm sure you understand when you're painting. Yeah, you're having your own, you do disappear. Like I like to listen to classical music. I learned to play the piano very young and took my right up to grade 8. My sister was a lovely pianist, still is, and but this was really what I wanted to do. So I didn't pursue music, whereas she did, and so we're kind of two artsy fartsy people in the family anyway. But you do kind of disappear. You know, especially when I'm home, painting on my own, listening to the Moonlight Sonata, my favorite piece. Those are things that,
The slow movement, the easy one. The
yeah,
triplets in the left hand.
exactly. Oh my gosh. And I mean, the water is moving, so you want to get some movement in there as well. And I don't know, you just get into the feeling of it. That's all I can say.
Well, if you look at the written music for the Moonlight Sonata, the notes on the page don't change, but your interpretation of that as you play it is going to be different from anybody else's.
This is true. Yeah.
And today, June 11th, is full moon. Pink strawberry moon.
That's right.
Looks like we have a clear sky for it too.
Now, what time is that supposed to happen?
Oh, I don't know. I expect to be woken by moonlight pouring in my window. About 3 o'clock. That's my
Oh, I see it when you're stalling.
I'll have to be out on my new deck.
Oh my goodness. With your
Checking-
bug spray. With your bug spray.
Yeah. Checking it all out.
Last night it was pouring, so there's no moonlight.
I must have had a good sleep. I didn't hear the rain last night.
Was that actually some brown you put in the middle of that water there?
Yeah.
I thought so.
It's not really brown.
Well, I know there was purple, but
Yeah, because like under the waves, there's a bit of a wave there. And you can actually put a little white cap on there. Just to give, which makes it interesting. You know?
very nice. The water is always changing.
It is. It's so amazing. Okay. I have to get out and take some pictures this summer. For
That's what I
my,
want to do. For our big landscapes.
Yeah. yes.
This is a wonderful.
I think the hardest part, I usually say, is signing my name.
Because then you're done.
I have a hard time. I have erased my name 2 and 3 times, and I've been going along and it sort of goes up. It goes up. So I've even had to set a ruler there. It's the funniest thing. I don't understand that.
That would signal your naturally optimistic, upbeat personality.
Okay, thank you for that. An upbeat personality.
I think so, though, really. You see people's signatures that go down.
Well,
Donald Trump's signature.
goes down.
No, it's just huge. It just,
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there, yeah. Okay, there's some swirly bits going on. Oh, I've hit that funny piece again.
I think you should be doing a reading for Joan the way she does for us while we're working.
Yeah,
I still tell a story.
I'm just really feeling my way along here with the water. I'm not really trying to recreate what's in the picture other than the shape of the thing. I'm just trying to.
Do you recall the day you took this picture?
No, I have so many piled up. And sometimes this is the annoying thing. I take the picture and then I forget where it was. That really drives me bananas. So I found out there is a thing on my camera on my phone. That where you can write it in, where it is, where you were, which I didn't know about. Have that out one day. Oh, and the other thing I should mention too is that after I've done something, I will set it up on the couch in the evening so that I can eyeball it when I'm watching the TV. And then I can do I notice things. So it's always good to walk away from it and leave it and then come back. You will definitely find little things. Purple's a good color in the sea for those sort of undertones, shadows. Getting there?
Mm-hmm.
And it comes down here a little more. Oh my goodness. We're only an hour in. I could do another painting.
You're watching Kim, you're just becoming a speed.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's kind of fun using your left hand. I don't know if you've ever tried that, but
A lot of drawing books recommend that you try drawing with your non-dominant hand. But drawing on the left side of the brain has some exercises in it. Usually.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's really lovely. Makes me want to take my shoes off and go for a walk.
Might be chilly. Okay, there's a little bit more. This one up here. Just a touch. Okay. I'm gonna leave the water for now. See something.
So, Joan, you never work from an image on your phone as you're taking the photograph. You always print it out, right?
I usually print it out because it's annoying to go back and forth. Like the phone shuts down.
We could show you how to set it so it doesn't do that.
Oh, there you go. See, that's something
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do like to have a reference point too.
Mhm.
So that when I go back and forth, I can see exactly where I am.
Yeah.
But I do like to have a reference point too. So that when I go back and forth, I can see exactly where I am.
Mhm.
to go back to. So I save all the pictures. I have a file with photos to paint and photos of ones painted. So I can always check back. Now, put your white stuff along here, white caps, I should say.
You print the photos yourself.
I do, yeah. I just find it easier. Much easier. Okay. Now we'll keep on going here. That seems quite dark. But if I just, skip it. Then I can add my lighter color over top. I never want to get too much on. When I first started, I was doing them so lightly. Then it was like twice as much work because I had to go back over it the second time or third time or whatever.
Well, you have a lot of confidence because you've got a lot of experience.
Yes, I can remember back in the day when I was painting in watercolor. Watercolor is a challenging medium to use. I always admire people who make that their favorite. But I remember back in the day when I was painting in watercolor, I would set it up in the dining room, lean it against the wall, and every time I walked through the dining room, I'd notice something. And I would stress and stew and fret and stress and all the rest of it because I didn't have it right. And then after a while, I think it's true. Practice does make perfect. Not that it's perfect, but it makes it better. You gain so much more insight with over time. And there's no need to be frustrated because it will come. It comes with time.
And practice, just like your piano. When you started, you were doing Soldier's March, and then you got up to grade 8, and that's a high level.
Yeah. But I didn't enjoy it. And I actually didn't finish my grade 8, which was a bummer. That was a disappointment.
Well, you had to let your sister be best at something, you know.
Oh my gosh, she's such a lovely pianist. I keep telling her I want her. She plays an 8-page sonata that she used to. Oh, it's just amazing. I can't remember who it's by. Anyway, I wanted her to. I just loved it so much. I would hum along with it. And I wanted her to do a tape of it, which she hasn't yet done. I'll have to get after her. She has her own piano. And of course, She loves all my artwork. I always send, when I finished a piece, I always send it to her. And she'll often say that, you know, that's the best, you know, that's. Okay, so I'm starting to get some nuance
Oh, this is
in
lovely.
here.
This is lovely.
But this really isn't a straight line, you know, it kind of, there's, so I'm gonna watch that. Just kind of do it more wibbly. I don't even know if wibbly's a word. Wibbly wobbly. Well, the other thing I wanted to mention about the paper is if you use some sandpapers that are made in Canada, unfortunately, are like the real sandpaper, not the kind that won't injure your fingers and put burns on your fingers. I did a huge painting one time and I had to stop for a week in between continuing on because I was burning my fingers. Until I found the Sennelier, this Sennelier paper, which is made with the cork, as I mentioned. And it's just a beautiful paper. And I only ever had one person. She was a lady in one of my groups that I did a workshop for over 12 weeks. And she was in her 80s. I think she was 89. She did beautiful work, by the way. But she did burn her fingers because at that age her tissue was a little thinner. And I felt really bad because I was, you know, touting this as being non-injurious, and that wasn't true for her.
Mhm. It looks great.
Something here. Yeah, we're getting there. The thing is to feel happy about it, because it's not often that I get a piece framed that it's all framed up with the glass on it and everything, and I say, uh-oh. So I try to leave it open for as long as I can. Try and they're doing something or other downstairs. This is a bit of a nook in in here. A sandy, sandy sort of nook. Right in there. Oh, we've got a noisy crowd downstairs.
This is a very nice piece. I can't believe the way you pulled it together so quickly.
Well,
The dunes really have the effect of the dunes in Greenwich too.
yeah,
That softness to
Yeah.
them that's very, very nice.
they're more bleached,
Mhm.
I find.
Yeah, I really do like that part of the island. Always stunned by the variety of landscapes here, you know, it's.
Yes. I did a really large one time of this scene, actually, not from this photo, but it was pretty much the same. And it had some really bright reflection of the sun on the top. It was a large one, and it was quite. I thought it was quite stunning myself. Anyway, it did sell, and
Is there a time of day you prefer to photograph the landscape?
oh, now that's a good question. Coming from a photographer, you want to have more shadow in. So the times of day would be late in the afternoon and early in the morning, right? And that's when I think you get the best, because the shadow really gives you the definition. If you do a still life and you don't have the shadow underneath the orange or the apple, then it's not sitting down. It doesn't give you that dimension. Everybody's been sort of caught, maybe. I certainly have been in a blizzard where you have no definition when you're driving and you can't tell where you are. Well, it's the same thing if you take it where the sun is shining brightly and you don't have a good shadow. There's the definition and the dimension of your work is just not going to be there. And it makes such a big difference when you have a good shadow. Somebody who's a master at shadows is Henry Purdy. He's the shadow man. He does beautiful work, but he has that knowledge, that sense, and he emphasizes it always. Very nice. So now I'm just trying to put in, just a few little bits of detail here and there, to give it more of that dimension. And there's not really a lot of cliffs here per se. They're smoother. They're more wind blown, I guess you could say. I don't know. I'm not a dune expert. Means. But the nice thing with this is if you don't like it, you can fix it up fairly quickly in most cases. Little things here and there that I see, you know. I'm going to show you how to mat it and frame it. So I'm going to have to be happy with it, which is going to be frustrating for me because I usually, leave it.
Oh, you can take it out when you go home and then do your touch-ups.
If I'm going to show you how to put it together, then I'm going to have to, I'll figure it out. Purple. Oh yes, I should mention too, besides the paper, the carte pastel that comes from France. You can get pastel pencils. Mine are well worn, but this is, excuse me, this is a set that I get from Michael's. So it has all the different colors. You also get two sharpeners, but there's everything you could imagine in terms of color. And I don't use them real often. I've had this set for a good 10 years. I'm still working with it because I'm not really drawing with them other than the quick sketch that gave me the horizon line initially and placement of where the cliff is in the water. And then I just go from there. So the pencils do come in handy. I do use those. And these are some chalks that my daughter purchased for me when she was in France. And the colors, they're kind of a blue-gray. And they're made from this flower. And they're handmade. So there's those ones, and these are different degrees of yellow ochre. And they're handmade in France. And they're, as are these ones. So she brought me those when she came back from France. And then I have other ones These are Rembrandt ones. So when I run out of my phthalo blue, I have more of the colors that I find I use more often. Oh, and I have these. These are more Rembrandts. This is like a beigey color, which is really good for the soil. And I keep them handy in my messy container. And then there's these ones. These are different. These are hard. So these are very soft. These ones are hard. And the Rembrandt ones are kind of medium. I like the Rembrandt ones for most use. But I'm starting to spend more time using these. It's just that these are so expensive, as we know. But they're luscious. That's all I can say. They have a very creamy effect, but these are nice as well. I haven't cracked into these yet, but I've got lots of different choices for whatever I need. Okay. I think it comes more down here. Just trying to get some more nuance into my water. I think it's a little brown ridge that I'm seeing around here. Just where it meets the sand.
Oh, it's looking very, very nice.
I still feel like I want to play with the water in here. The other thing is, you know, we're always teasing each other at art. You know, people will hold up their piece and say, "Am I done?" And it seems to be a theme amongst us. You don't want to overwork the piece. You definitely want to be done when you're done. But knowing that is hard because you're always seeing something. You're always seeing something different. And we never feel like we're finished. Isn't that awful? I don't know if that's too purple in there. Try that. Oh, that growly bit in there. You can hear it crunching. What do you think?
I think your
Suggestions?
it's hard to see what you could, what more you can do. If you're not finished, you're very close, eh?
I think this goes, oops, more brown. This goes down a bit. Just a touch there. Yeah, some light around here.
That is just what I was looking at. It's the white bit that comes right in.
Yeah.
Just awestruck.
What's that?
I said it's really fun to watch, but it's also, I'm just awestruck.
Hard?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but you do lovely work yourself, my dear. You ladies.
It's just amazing stuff.
Is that better?
Yes,
Yeah.
that made a big difference.
Yeah.
Little touch and a big
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just fine tuning it now. And then the hard part will be putting the name on.
Oh,
That's not easy. Sometimes I don't want to take my eye off it. I'm reaching over the chalk. You know?
Hoping you're picking up the right one.
Yeah, exactly. Hoping I'm picking up the right one.
That's a lovely piece.
Okay. Oops. I do have a tablecloth at home. And I just want to do a little finessing. There. Oh. Okay. Just trying to get more light on it. There's some blue coming through there that I don't want. If I get that out of there. No. Things that, picky little things that drive you crazy. Okay, now. I'm going to finish the corners. And I always record my work by taking a picture. For my records. That way, when you take the picture, it doesn't have blank corners, which wouldn't be good. Okay. I think. Oh, wrong glue. Doesn't want to get in the corner. Got to wash my hand, wash my brush. And dry them. I've still got a pretty good grip on this. They don't need to add more.
Yes, right.
So,
It's just a lovely image. And I must say, I'm looking forward to seeing the effect of the mat in the frame.
this is the time where I have to think of a name for it. Any suggestions from the audience? Because I've got so many from Greenwich, I have to differentiate. So,
Do you usually have the location name in the title or something else?
well, I'll say, something like, peaceful at Greenwich Beach, or just peaceful, Greenwich Beach. It could be that.
It's a good title.
Yeah, the only thing is, I probably didn't bring my felt tip pen. Well, I have a fat one. I won't use the fat one. Shoot. I thought I had thought of everything. So we're gonna put all this stuff away.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think?
It's too thick. Might they have one out there?
A fine tip Sharpie?
Thank you. We're searching for a fine tip Sharpie. That one's too.
I didn't realize you signed your own work with the Sharpie.
No, it's on the back.
Oh, on the back.
I
Put the
record
title.
on the back.
So you can put the title in.
And I started doing that because a very good friend of mine who has since passed She found her work being sold at a yard sale.
You mentioned that. That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Imagine.
with somebody else's name on it.
I suppose that's real flattery, but it's also forgery.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, I wish I could do something this good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. So I will sign it on the front, and I use pencils.
One of your pencils, yeah.
And then it's always fun to choose the color. And I think I will do a beige, sort of a beige color.
Oh my goodness, look at this.
Oh,
What
thank
service.
you. Perfect. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna sign my name. Keeping in mind of where the mat is gonna go.
You always use the lower right-hand corner?
I do, unless there's a flower or something and I have to use the left. Yeah, but mostly it's over here. So I want to put it up high enough. And I want it to be sharper. So that I don't have to write my name too large. So I can see.
I like coming through those leaves, it's so beautiful. I always love going through leaves when it's perfect. I love those stairs there.
There, did I do that okay?
I think so. I think you've done it before, Joan.
No, but I get going off wonky, which is very frustrating. Okay, so we're
Seized
gonna.
by the emotion of the moment.
Yeah. So we're gonna call this. Going to call it Peaceful. We're doing great. Time-wise.
Good.
Okay. Now the only thing is, wipe off my hands. Because I'm going to be putting the mat on it, and it is devastating if you get chalk on your mat. So I'm going to clean the table. Of any chalk dust. I hope. Tidy up my site. Oh, I've got all kinds of these in here. Every different shape and size for every different type of pastel pencil. I bet. That's my Sharpie. Because the framing part, which we're now moving on to, is a job in itself. That's why I've left lots of time for that. Shoot. Okay. Okay. Put this away. Get my hands clean. I hope. Okay. My father was a machinist and a shoemaker before that. And one of his things that he taught us was that you take the time to clear away your tools, whether they be for sewing or painting or whatever.
You're not looking in my garden shed, girls.
And so I have this thing where I need to, because if you don't look after your tools of the trade, then you're basically in big trouble. You'll lose things if you don't put them away properly, and so on. So now we're moving on to this stage. So this is my mat and my frame. I'll set the frame there.
That's very nice.
Joan, when you cut your paper, what margin do you leave bigger than the opening in the frame?
Well, that's a good question. This paper is 9.5 by 6.25, or 6.5 by 9.25. I forget which way it is, but that's how it comes in these sheets. It should say on here, these little books, 9.5 by 6.25 is what it is. So that's a perfect size for the mats that I cut, and I cut my mats myself. So the opening of the mat is 9 by 6. So that gives me enough play to go over here a little bit or over here, right?
Opening is 9 by 6, and these are 9.5 by 6.25.
So you have to have at least 1/4 of an inch around. But they just happen to be already cut that size. The book comes like that. Normally they come larger, and then the big sheets are 26 by something. They're quite large. So why I waited was because I want to sign it on the back first. I want to write the title of it. Sometimes I get it all done up and then I set it down because I might be framing 2 or 3 at the one time, and then I've forgotten the name. So technically what I do now, oh sorry, I forgot. I have to take a photo. Here's my purse. Here it is. So I take a photo for my record. Creek. And crop it. You always lose a little smidge in the crop. So you have to make sure that you've left enough room for your name if you're planning on printing them. So there it is in the picture. And so that's saved, so I have a record of it, because you certainly can't take a picture after you've got the glass on, because you're going to get a wicked reflection. Okay. I'm glad I remembered to do that. Being careful not to touch the mat. And I chose one that is, it's quite yellow, it's quite bright.
Picks up the sunlight on the top of that green hill.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Okay, so it's peaceful, Greenwich. Peaceful Greenwich with no comma. It doesn't seem to work. Shoot. There we go. And it's PEI Canada. By Joan Savage of Nature's Healing Art. And then I always sign it. And this is June 2025. The 15th, to be exact. So that's how I sign it. Now, I need the foam core backing, it's called. I'll just stand up for this. So I have it where I want it. Making sure the edges are correct. I want to keep this away. Okay. So I'm going to take this off. And this is acid-free tape. And I need my scissors. So this is one proper way of hanging your piece. So here's, it's hard to see because this is also black, but the foam core is here. And you want to keep it secure in that spot. Put your tape there. Press. Put your tape there. So that it hangs, it's not secured all the way around, because sometimes with dampness or whatever, you'll get into trouble.
What kind of tape did you say about this?
It's actually called Filmoplast. Do you know about that? Because I'm looking to get more of it, but it comes from Sweden or Germany. No, made in Germany. But I will need more of that soon. And it's acid free.
Mhm.
Do you use any kind of special? No.
I haven't printed very many photographs yet, and when I do, I just put them in like a purchased frame.
Right. Yeah. You don't need 2 pieces if you cut it right. Okay, so it should hang
Mhm.
like that, making sure that the back is stuck. That's why I pressed on it. And now, I wish this was a different color so you could see, but anyway, I think you can see. I use a placemat at home because you want this to be a little bit higher. Like there. And now, this is the mat. This is just masking the tape. double checking. Yep. Should be good. Sometimes you can put a second piece on. I think we're well stuck there. So there it is.
Looks great.
See? I don't need this piece. I don't think. We'll see. And now for the frame. Here it is. Put your tools back.
I cook that way too. Goes in the dishwasher.
Yeah, it's a good policy. There have been times when I have gotten it all framed up, turned it over, and there's something there under the glass.
Mhm.
I have to take it all off again, which can be very annoying. I think that's on the outside. Yes, it is. Okay, that's a good thing. Okay. Okay, now that's flush, which is really super. Sometimes it isn't if it's a deeper frame. So this has these little things, which I'm going to leave. They're supposed to be just temporary, but there's so many of them. Normally, I would use
By temporary, do you mean that you would take those off?
well, they're meant to be temporary, but they're in there so well. I'm going to use them as permanent. But normally I would use this and I would go clunk, clunk, clunk. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is a framer's gun. And they're wonderful for doing your own framing. But I don't need that today. Put that back. And I'll just use these. As long as I can get them so that they're not sticking up. There's a lot of them. So it's not going to come apart. But you want to make sure it lays down so that it's not poking up or it'll poke a hole in your backing. Oh, let's double check. Oh, phew, we're lucky.
frame is very nice with that piece too.
I've thought about a gray one. Wow.
Brown looks really great.
I think it-
brown isn't it?
I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks great.
And now this part. Is the piece of paper. Goes on there. Has a spot on it. This is the double-sided tape gun.
Why is the paper put on rather than leaving it like that?
Uh-oh. Because it's a nicer finish.
Okay, so it's, the purpose is to finish it.
Yeah. And that's how professionals would frame your piece. As opposed to unprofessional. So it's better for a gallery to see your work as professional. You know, like if you're putting them in a gallery for sale, to not have it look.
Lots of precision in the framing.
Oh my goodness, yes. But the work is worthy of it, you know?
Well, thank you. Yes, and if you know, if you want to have a nice finished product. Now, the other thing I always put these little buttons on. There. Try another one. Since you're being ornery.
Nice to keep it from banging on the wall.
And the other thing is the galleries. Somewhere. Let's see it. Galleries want wire. They don't want hooks. So we have to comply with that. Normally, when I cut the paper, it has an overhang. To save time, I cut this piece to size. But when there's an overhang, I use a blade and I trim it with the blade. So that's important too, because this paper comes in a big roll. And I have a little thing here. Here's my card and a little note to the purchaser if they so purchase or choose the piece. You have received an original Joan Savage. Oh, this is the wrong one. It says watercolor. I have different ones. Oh, all right. Well, I'll have to change that one up when I get home. It says you have received an original Joan Savage chalk pastel or acrylic. Joan lives in Summerside, PEI, Canada. Her prints and original scenes depict the soothing beaches and pictorial island countryside. Joan hopes her scenes bring you peace and comfort in the form of nature's healing art. Nice. So I will put the proper one on. When I get home. One time I have them that also says a reproduction for my prints. Can you pass me those prints? Since the camera's not over there, I'll just show people. These are some of the prints that I do. Oh, it's over here. So this is Stanley Bridge, Stanley River. This is Grand Tragedy. And this is Summerfield, just off the highway on the road to Charlottetown. And so those are 5x7s. These ones are 8x10. And this is Sea Cow Head. You can see that this way, yeah. Sea Cow Head. This is called Spring Beauty. And this one is the Yankee Hill, the New London Light at French River.
Great sky.
Yeah. That's just a few that I brought to show people. And if you can pass me that guy. This is a Hindu warrior, and this is all done in chalk. This item is in the Wanda Wyatt house, and a group of us were commissioned to do this work. Go into the Wanda Wyatt house and choose an item in there that we thought we'd like to reproduce in whatever medium we were affiliated with. And I thought this would be a challenge. This is a Hindu warrior. And it's a statue, a bronze statue. And Wanda Wyatt and her sister traveled a lot, and they went far and wide. And this was an item that they had brought back with them. And I thought it would be a really wonderful challenge to take a picture or to try and recreate a picture of a statue and still make it look like a statue. And I just had the best time doing that because it was so challenging. And I learned that Oh, and he must have had a spear that went through his hands that was missing. It wasn't there when I took the photo. But I learned that when the horses, it means different things. When the front legs are up, it means they were killed in battle. When there's one leg up, it means that they were injured in battle. And when both legs are down, it means that they were living after the battle. So it's quite interesting. Anyway, it's not something that somebody would want to purchase for their home, I imagine, but it was so challenging and so much fun to do for me. So that statue is at the Wanda Wyatt Historic House Museum. So there's that one. And then there's one more that I wanted to show you before I finish my frame. This one is of my youngest daughter, Gail. This is her portrait. And she sent me that picture because she was showing me the earrings. And I thought, wow, this would be so fantastic to do a portrait of her. I think I have the picture that I want to do for my older daughter, Grace. And anyway, I was pleased with the outcome. And her comment was, wow, it's so uncanny to be looking at myself.
Wow.
So that I felt was a real positive comment. But it was definitely a challenge to get her looking as she is. And that was done in 2016. Thank you. So now we'll continue with the framing. And I need my ruler. So I need to hammer holes. Oh. And I didn't want to bring my big long kitchen hammer. So I went and I bought this stubby, it's called a stubby hammer.
Cute.
Still with a good clout and the thing to remove nails. And I got just the one I needed for this job. So I'm going to mark it probably 3.5 inches down from the top. So making sure that I'm on the wood. One, 2, 3.5. Yeah. One, 2, 3. I could go 4, you know. I might go 4. Yeah, I think I gotta go 4. always double checking to make sure, because I put all the hardware on upside down. No, isn't a good thing. I don't think this table is too soft.
You could use this maybe if you want.
Yeah, I might have to use this. Just moving over here because I need a more solid area. Bear with me. They can't see me. I don't want to hit my fingers. Jeez. It's not as easy as it looks. One done. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Stubby. Okay. Now, ouch. So many tools.
So much organization, but I'm thinking.
Yes. Now, this is my other special tool, a special screwdriver. Put the hammer away. This way. And now, this is coated wire. Excuse me. You can all see that. So it doesn't all go rusty on you later. It costs a little bit more, but it's the best. And I like to use short screws. So I had to get a special screwdriver that had a tiny, tiny square head. So it's really tiny because the holes are tiny, because with the shorter screws, I have screwed on ones of these and hammered, and it went right through. It went right through the frame to the other side. Totally ruined the frame. So the fellas over at Home Hardware fixed me up with this dandy screwdriver. They knew just what I needed.
Do the screws come with the clips, or do you buy them separately?
No, you buy them separately. Yeah. There. They're on.
And are those called a D-clip?
Yes.
There.
Yep. Yeah, I had to order them. I used to get everything from a place years ago where I got my frames for, I don't know, 25 years. And then they went out, they sold and went out of business. And the new people took over, and it wasn't quite the same. So I used to get everything. So then I had to rethink, where was I going to get all this stuff from? Okay. Now, this is for jewelry making. So I also make my own jewelry. I don't know if you can see that. And this is great for other purposes, because it tightens stuff up and turns it around. Because the wire is stiffer because it's covered with plastic. So it's a bit tricky. There.
Well, when somebody buys one of your pieces, they take it home and they can hang it right on the wall. It's ready to go.
Yes, it absolutely is. They just have to put the thing in the wall.
But what a lot of work goes into that professional framing job.
But it's so much nicer.
Mhm.
And, you know, I learned how to do it. And it saves me, because I learned how to do my own matting and framing because I didn't want to wait.
And it's hideously expensive.
And it is very pricey. I mean, they do beautiful beautiful work. I can't say enough about the framers. But I just, the sole reason, it wasn't as much for me in terms of what drove me being the money. It was that I couldn't stand waiting. And I wanted to see the finished product much more quickly. There. So it's all ready to hang, except for this and the label, which will say Peaceful Greenwich.
It doesn't have the corner.
Beautiful.
Can we see without the shine? Yep.
Lovely.
Excellent. Ready to go.
And I can't believe it's 20 to 3.
Very good.
So
Good timing.
I'm just going to turn this a little bit this way. So people can see who I am.
Joan and
And thank you to Ellen and Laura, my pastel artists who paint with me Monday afternoon, and then another lady, Kim, who was unable to be here. But we just have so much fun.
We do.
And I appreciate the fact that you came, because then I didn't feel like I was talking into thin air,
Oh, Joan,
even though there's a lot of people watching, I'm sure,
it's
or I hope.
so instructive to watch you work. It has just been a pleasure.
Well, this was a wonderful opportunity, so I have to thank them at Cultured Summerside. And we're just finishing up. So thanks very much, everybody. And thank you for the opportunity to do this. I appreciate it. Bye for now.
And we are done.